What's shaking? It's Bacon, and today I wanted to talk about my favorite character in Destiny. It's kind of a weird one, because in this lore-driven but story-lacking game, it's kind of hard to find any good characters because they don't really talk very much to us or interact with us. So my favorite character ends up being a strike boss, Omnigul. The Will of Crota herself. Yeah, it's kind of weird, but I have her as my favorite character for good reason. Now, we don't just see Omnigul once. We see her a total of 3 times. That's crazy in comparison to all the other bosses, because we just go in, kill them, and we're done. With Omnigul, she gets away. She's trolling us. She sees us, spawns her little army, and just starts chuckling and leaves. She just leaves a lot of problems for us and targets a lot of things that are important to the city and Earth's survival. So the first time you see her is in the Fist of Crota, and she'll be there in the beginning just spawning waves of enemies at you like it's just zombies. She just keeps throwing them at you and then laughs away, and you can't even destroy her at that point. Then she targets Rasputin, the last war mine on Earth. Man, you don't even know what her objective was. Was it a destruction mission, or was it to control Rasputin? That's scary, because if she could control Rasputin, she could have added a huge buff to her army, and then we would be done. We would have no defense, and then our greatest defense would end up being what destroys us. And lastly, in her strike, which I think is the best strike in the game. It is the hardest on Nightfall. It has such mayhem to it. You just have to, I don't know, try your hardest and not to die, because she's pretty smart. I think she's the most intelligent boss or character period that we face against, because not only does she coordinate her own army by spawning them in with her screams, nonetheless, she uses the Fallen against us in her strike. So she's doing some crazy meddling. She picked the location that we would find her perfectly. She made sure that the Fallen would be waiting for us as well, and then we would have to fight not only one enemy of the darkness, but 2, our greatest enemy, the Fallen, who just are all over Earth and could just send in ships like it's nothing, just raining. She must have realized that the Hive doesn't have that big of a presence on Earth as much as the Fallen do. So she used that to her advantage, and she almost won, if not won many times. If we go outside of the realm of the story, think about how many times fire teams have died to Omnigul and her tactics. Yeah. I just think that in comparison to the rest of the characters, and I'm talking about even people in the city, like, I hate the Speaker. I hate the Speaker. I will say it now and I will say it again. I hate the Speaker more than anyone in Destiny, because he's just so shady. He's on his like masked man Obito thing, and when you speak to him in the cutscene, he's like, "You must have no end of questions, Guardian." Yeah, I came into this game not knowing where it's gonna go because the story felt a little dry. And then you've got his boss, the Traveler, who's basically just a Snorlax in the road, well, in the sky, who does nothing but makes little ghosts and send us on missions without even speaking because he has a speaker. And I don't really worship the Traveler because I think that he brought our problems, if anything, but that's another thing. And when you think about it, Omnigul is just so cool, man. She is called the mother of the spawn. Yeah, she's mommy, and everyone loves their mom. I mean, there's always a good female behind every successful man, the successful man being Crota. And she's not even the only like body part or like mental part of Crota that we face against. But the way I think of it, they're like Power Rangers, and Omnigul is like the Red Ranger, and then Crota is like the Megazord. So she's just the boss. She's the best. I don't think anyone in the game compares to her in terms of just being there for us. Because I mean, in a game like Destiny, where the story isn't all that it was chalked up to be, she's a reoccurring character, and you don't see that anywhere else. You don't have any characters that just come back for another fight. She's just meddling and just fun, if anything. I'm kind of sad that we destroyed her, but I'll always remember that she was there for us. I think that Omnigul of all characters, Bungie needs to look at and say, we did it right making her, we need to make more characters like her. Because could you imagine for each expansion and for the future of Destiny, more enemies like her that are just so interesting and always coming back. You need a face for the war. You need to have a target. And although Crota is the endgame target for the DLC, Omnigul is there every step of the way until that point. You can't take down Crota without taking down Omnigul, because Omnigul is the army. She brings him up, and the only reason we won against Crota is because he didn't have Omnigul to just send in countless troops to raid us. I mean, could you imagine having to face against Omnigul and Crota at the same time? It would just be a nightmare, if anything, because she was hard enough by herself. She could have been a raid if Destiny wanted to make her a raid. And Crota is just Crota. You can't even take him down without using his sword. And that's why you gotta respect Omnigul for the boss lady that she is. Just think about her in comparison to all the other characters. Because in the whole grand scheme of things, she's not much of anything. One, you have the regular thralls, knights, boomers, and then above them are her and the rest of Crota's generals. And then there's Crota. And he is just the youngest and weakest of all of Oryx's sons. He is just a little speck on the lens of what we're gonna have to deal with in the future. So even though she's this small, she's better than all the characters in the city, and that's kind of sad, but whatever. That's just how it ended up being, and I'm happy. I'm happy we have a beast, silent character that's just always there. And that's gonna wrap up this video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, I hope you'll subscribe and be here for some more. I really love doing this. It's just great. So, thank you. See you later.